Most people pack sunscreen and sandals for a cruise. I packed an air compressor, 32 paints, and a modified airbrush. Some might call it madness, but I call it preparation. Today, I'm going to show you what happens when a wizard attempts to cast color spray in the middle of the Mediterranean. And yeah, I might just be the first person to zenithal highlight a Space Marine's cod piece between buffet times. Hey everyone, I'm Enzo Greymane, also known as the Wily Wizard, and I'm currently cruising the Mediterranean for my mother's 70th birthday. Happy birthday, Mom! For most, cruising means rest, but for me, painting is rest. So I brought along a compact miniature painting setup aboard this ship. I've painted minis while traveling before, but with just a few brushes and a limited palette. But this time, I'm bringing the full arcane arsenal, an air compressor, paints, and a custom modified airbrush. I've never seen anyone airbrush on a cruise ship before, so either I'm a trailblazer or I'm about to fumigate our cabin and get us banned from international waters. Before we paint, we protect. Miniatures are fragile, small vessels of effort, personality, and time. And traveling with them takes just a bit of intention. Here's my go-to. Mount your minis to cardboard using double-sided tape. Place that inside a sturdy box and cushion the gaps with a microfiber cloth. Then keep the whole setup in your carry-on. Don't risk your champions to the care of airline goblins. It's simple, but it works. And yes, the tape will still hold strong for the return trip home. Paints can be a bit temperamental when you travel, especially by air. The change in pressure between ground level and plane cabin can cause sealed bottles to leak or even crack. So if you're flying, don't bring your entire paint rack. Bring extras, duplicates, or transfer your favorite colors into smaller dropper bottles. That way, if something goes wrong, you're not losing your irreplaceables. I sort mine into sealed microgroups of 4 to 8, then tuck those inside a larger bag. That segmentation saved me when a bottle of blue ruptured mid-flight. A mess, sure, but contained. That's the key. Contain the chaos. Don't fear it. You can't paint what you can't see, and clarity matters. Not just in your strokes, but in how you set yourself up to do the work. I use a compact USB-powered gooseneck LED. No frills, no magic glow crystals, just something that's portable, flexible, and bright enough to reveal the details that matter. And here's why it matters. Ambient lighting, especially in cabins or hotels, is rarely neutral. Warm bulbs distort your tones. Shadows can trick your eye. Bad lighting leads to bad decisions, and you won't always catch the mistake until it's too late. So bring your own clarity. Doesn't have to be expensive, just has to be yours. When you're traveling, every item in your kit has to earn its place. I bring a compact wet palette, a small water dish, a miniature holder, and just a few brushes I really trust. That's it. I keep the brushes in the original packaging for protection. They travel better that way and it keeps everything organized. It's a lean setup, but it covers everything I need to stay in the flow. Now, if you got the space, there are a few extras worth considering. A small paint mixer, Q-tips, paper towels, glue, scissors, and maybe a scraper or two. But remember, space is limited, and every item adds friction if it's not truly needed. That's why I only pack minis that are already assembled, primed, and zenithal highlighted. If you do that work ahead of time, you won't need hobby knives, glue, or have your tool rack on vacation. That said, if you must build Space Marines in a cruise ship and you know how to do it without slicing a hole in space and time and unleashing chaos, then sure, maybe you're wily enough to pull it off. But for most folks, prep at home, pack light, paint more. Michelangelo had patrons. I had TSA and a wife wondering why I packed 32 paints and an air compressor on a cruise. I brought an airbrush into the middle of the Mediterranean and it worked. The setup, a Gaahleri Serenair, roughly the size of a thick hardcover book, just about 3 pounds. Performance-wise, it sprays smooth at 15 to 19 psi, perfect for mini work. Once you hit 21 or above though, the airflow gets a bit jumpy. If we keep it in that sweet spot, we're golden. To test it, I painted a detailed mandala stencil because if it can handle that, it can handle tiny pauldrons and shoulder pads just fine. I paired the Gaahleri Serenair with my custom tuned Harder Steenbeck Ultra, which I modded to be lighter and smaller. Great for traveling. I'll be covering my Ultra transformation in a future video. With a makeshift spray booth and some creative airflow management, I managed to airbrush minis in a cruise cabin without redecorating the walls or alarming housekeeping. The process was smoother than expected, and honestly, kind of peaceful. Turns out, painting minis at sea is surprisingly doable, at least if you know your way around the nozzle and don't mind a few curious stares from your cabin neighbors. But here's what stuck with me. There's something about painting in the middle of the Mediterranean. This sea has carried artists, ideas, and inspirations across continents for centuries. Michelangelo once worked not far from these waters, both as a sculptor and a painter. And while I'm just airbrushing minis in a cabin, I couldn't help but feel the weight of that legacy moving beneath the waves. It reminded me, inspiration doesn't have to shout. Sometimes it just waits for someone paying attention. Travel painting, especially airbrushing, definitely isn't for everyone. If the hobby still feels stressful or unpredictable, it's totally fine to leave the gear at home and just relax. But if painting is your escape, your ritual, your reason to wake up early on sea day, bring that kit. It might just make your trip feel more like yours. So, can you airbrush on the go or even in the middle of the Mediterranean? Absolutely. With compact air compressors like the Gaahleri Serenair, the age of stationary airbrushing may be behind us. If you want to build your own portable setup, I've provided links for all the gear in this video in the description below. Using those links comes at no cost to you, but it supports me creating future content such as this. And if you really enjoyed this content, you're definitely going to want to stick around. I've got some wild airbrush technique, mod, and build videos coming up real soon. Whether you know me as Enzo Greymane, the Wily Wizard, or Night Owl Forge, you can always count on me to airbrush anytime, anywhere. Until next time, keep traveling, keep exploring, and stay inspired.